In 1977, humanity threw two bottles into the cosmic ocean, two spacecraft the size of a small car, loaded with instruments, cameras, and a golden record containing the sounds and images of Earth. Sounds of rain and wind and thunder, music from different cultures. Greetings in 55 languages, the brainwaves of a young woman in love. We pointed these two spacecraft at the outer planets and let them go. Nobody alive when they launched expected to still be hearing from them nearly 50 years later. The engineers who built them are mostly gone now. The scientists who designed the missions are old or no longer with us, but the spacecraft are still out there. Still moving, still sending signals back across an almost incomprehensible distance. And what they found at the edge of our solar system and beyond it is one of the most extraordinary stories in the history of human exploration. To understand what Voyager found, you first need to understand what the edge of the solar system actually is. Most people think the solar system ends at Pluto. It does not. Pluto is just a small icy world in a region called the Kuiper Belt. Beyond Pluto, the sun's influence keeps stretching outward. The sun constantly releases a stream of charged particles called the solar wind. This solar wind blows outward in every direction at over 1,000,000 kilometers per hour, filling an enormous bubble of space around our star. Everything inside that bubble is under the influence of the sun. Its particles, its magnetic field, its energy reaching out across billions of kilometers of space. Scientists call this bubble the heliosphere, and the boundary where it ends, where the sun's solar wind finally runs out of energy and stops, is called the heliopause. That is the true edge of our solar system. And Voyager was heading straight for it for 35 years before it got there. For the first part of their journey, Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 did exactly what they were built to do. Voyager 1 flew past Jupiter in 1979 and sent back the first close-up images of Jupiter's Great Red Spot. It revealed active volcanoes erupting on Io. It showed the smooth, cracked ice of Europa for the first time, hinting at the ocean hiding underneath. Then it flew past Saturn in 1980 and sent back stunning images of the ring system in detail nobody had ever seen. Voyager 2 did all of that and more. It went on to fly past Uranus in 1986 and Neptune in 1989. The only spacecraft in history to visit all four outer planets. The images it sent back from Neptune revealed a storm called the Great Dark Spot and gave us our first proper look at Neptune's moon Triton, with its backwards orbit and nitrogen geysers erupting from its surface. By the time Voyager 2 finished its planetary tour, both spacecraft were heading outward into the unknown, away from all the planets, into the vast, empty outer solar system. And scientists kept the instruments running because nobody really knew what was out there. For years, the readings were relatively quiet. The solar wind was still flowing outward. The sun's magnetic field was still detectable. Then slowly things started to change. The solar wind began to slow down. The particles streaming outward from the sun were running into something, piling up against something, like wind hitting a wall. In 2004, Voyager 1 crossed into a region scientists called the termination shock. This is the first boundary before the heliopause, the place where the solar wind abruptly slows down from over 1,000,000 kilometers per hour to a much lower speed as it starts to push against the pressure of interstellar space outside. The instruments on Voyager 1 recorded the change clearly. The solar wind particles slowed, the magnetic field compressed. The temperature of the particles rose sharply. It was like the solar wind was being squeezed and heated as it ran out of room. Scientists had predicted this boundary would exist, but actually crossing it and measuring it directly for the first time was something else entirely. Then came August 2012, 35 years after launch. Voyager 1 was traveling through the outer reaches of the heliosphere when the readings changed in a way that made scientists stop and stare at their screens. The solar wind particles that had been measurable for 3.5 decades essentially vanished, dropped to almost zero in the space of just a few days. At the same time, the density of a completely different kind of particle called galactic cosmic rays shot up dramatically. These cosmic rays were coming from outside the solar system, from interstellar space, from the wider galaxy, and they were flooding in because Voyager had crossed the heliopause. It had left the solar system. For the first time in history, a human-made object was in interstellar space, the space between the stars. The team at NASA took a few months to confirm the data and make sure they were reading it correctly. Then they announced it to the world. Voyager 1 had done something no human-made object had ever done before. It had escaped. What it found out there was not what scientists expected. The crossing was sharper than predicted, almost like going through a wall rather than a gradual fading. On one side, the solar wind, the sun's particles, the sun's magnetic field. On the other side, something completely different. The plasma outside the heliopause was denser than models had predicted. The magnetic field direction outside was different from what calculations suggested it should be. The interstellar medium turned out to be more complex and more structured than scientists had assumed from a distance. All the theories built up over decades about what the boundary of the solar system would look like had to be revised based on what Voyager actually measured when it got there. That is what exploration does. It tells you where your models were wrong. Then came something nobody had predicted at all: electron bursts. High-energy electrons suddenly hitting Voyager in intense waves coming from outside the solar system. Not a steady flow. Sudden sharp bursts arriving without warning. The first time it happened, the scientists were puzzled. Then it happened again and again. After studying the data carefully, the best explanation they could find was that these electron bursts were triggered by solar events back inside the solar system. When the sun produces a large solar flare, the shock wave from that flare travels outward through the solar wind. It takes about a year to travel from the sun all the way to the heliopause. When it hits the boundary, it sends a ripple into interstellar space. That ripple accelerates electrons, which come flying back inward and hit Voyager. The sun reaching across 23 billion kilometers of space and still causing effects in interstellar territory, still making its presence felt even beyond its own boundary. Though not every scientist is fully satisfied with this explanation, the electron bursts remain one of the more puzzling and debated findings from the mission. Voyager also helped confirm something about our solar system that scientists had suspected but never proven. Our solar system has a tail. Just like a comet streaming a tail of material away from the sun as it moves through space, our entire solar system streams a tail of solar wind particles and magnetic field out behind it as it travels through the galaxy. Scientists call it the heliotail. Data from Voyager combined with observations from other instruments helped map its existence and its rough shape. The solar system is not a perfect sphere. It is more like a bubble being pushed through the galaxy with material streaming out behind it. A cosmic comet 8.9 billion kilometers across moving through interstellar space with a tail we are only just beginning to understand. In 2018, Voyager 2 also crossed the heliopause at a different point than Voyager 1 had 6 years earlier. And the readings were slightly different in ways that surprised scientists. The temperature outside the heliopause where Voyager 2 crossed was significantly higher than where Voyager 1 had crossed. Nobody had expected that difference. The heliopause is not a uniform wall. It varies in temperature and thickness and density at different points around the solar system. The sun's bubble is not a simple, smooth shape. It is dynamic and complex and different depending on where you measure it. 2 crossing points, 6 years apart on opposite sides of the solar system, and already the picture is more complicated than any single model predicted. Right now, Voyager 1 is over 23 billion kilometers from Earth. The signal it sends back travels at the speed of light and still takes more than 22 hours to reach us. When engineers send a command to Voyager 1, they wait over 44 hours just for the round trip. Send the command. Wait 22 hours. Wait another 22 hours for the confirmation to come back. The spacecraft is powered by a nuclear battery that is slowly losing output. Scientists have been carefully shutting down instruments one by one to conserve power. Every year there's a little less power, a little less data. At some point in the late 2020s, the power will be too low to run any instruments, and Voyager will go silent forever. But it will not stop moving. It will keep drifting outward into interstellar space long after it stops talking to us. In about 40,000 years, Voyager 1 will pass within 1.6 light years of a star called Gliese 445. Not close enough to enter its system, just a distant passing in the dark. And it will keep going after that, for billions of years, long after our sun has expanded and died, long after Earth is gone. 2 small pieces of metal drifting through the galaxy carrying golden records with the sounds of a planet that no longer exists, the closest thing to immortality that humanity has ever achieved. We sent pieces of ourselves into the void, and they are still going.